1. I first saw her a week or two after some friends had rescued her from the woods across from their house. A small, matted thing, hunched miserably on a tree branch in the rain, while their dogs milled and snapped below. She was very sick with a respiratory infection, and for a while they didn't think she'd make it. By the time I came over to the barn where they were keeping her, she was stronger, but her face was still black with caked-on snot. I sat down on the floor beside her, and the little ginger cat rubbed against me and a moment later clasped my hand between her forepaws and began licking it. It wasn't the grateful licking of a dog. It was proprietary and businesslike, the rasp of her tongue almost painful. She was claiming me. F and I named her Biscuit, after the color of her fur. She never completely got over the respiratory infection. Even in total darkness, you could tell she had entered the room because of the snuffling, a sound like a small whisk broom, briskly sweeping. Every few months she'd start sneezing with increasing viscid productivity until it got so gross we had to take her to the vet, which she didn't mind. She'd stroll into her carrier as if it were the first-class compartment of an airliner and put her on antibiotics, which she did. She hated being pilled and would buck and spit and slash until you got the message. You can see the scars she left on my forearm. Once, when we were still living in the village, Biscuit wandered into a neighbor's garage and came back with half her muzzle and one forepaw white with paint. 3 people had to hold her down while a 4th shaved off the painted-on fur so she wouldn't be poisoned while trying to clean herself. It was the angriest I ever saw her. But only a few hours later, she slid into bed with us, snuffling and purring. This was our marriage bed, my wife's and mine. In it we had made love, we had quarreled, we had exchanged secrets the way children exchange trading cards. When I was a kid, these were mostly of baseball players, but there are now cards for WWF superstars, Star Wars characters, and the members of England's royal wedding. Wilfredo, the boy who used to visit us in the summer, had decks of Japanese anime figures. We had set up reading by lamplight while the world slept, sometimes silently, sometimes aloud to each other. During the early years of our marriage, the books we read included Charlotte's Web, Oliver Twist, The Story of the Treasure Seekers, and the entire Lord of the Rings, which aged us like grief. We did the voices of all the characters: guileless, bumptious Wilbur, manly Oswald, bluff as a little Winston Churchill, Templeton rubbing his hands, or I guess his paws, together in anticipation of an all-you-can-eat buffet of purulent Midway garbage. Unctuous Fagin, his ill will barely concealed by a facade of mocking courtliness. Hissing, sniveling Gollum. Lately, we don't read to each other much. On September 29, 2008, while I was away teaching at college in North Carolina, I learned that Biscuit had gone missing from our house in upstate New York. F was also away at the time at an artist's residency in Europe, so if anybody was going to look out for our cat, it would have to be me. By rights, the kid we had hired to take care of our pets should have gone looking for her, but he was useless. At least, he was useless as a cat-sitter. And so I booked a flight to New York and set off to find Biscuit, though I couldn't afford the airfare and worried that by the time I arrived it would be too late. She had already been gone 3 days, a piece of information Bruno, the cat-sitter, had held back until fairly late in our conversation. I don't know whether from caginess or because it had just slipped his mind. It was early evening when he called. I was making dinner. I remember looking out the window into the garden of my rental house, which lay in the shadow of a live oak whose acorns, bigger and flatter than the ones I was used to seeing up north, littered the grass like woody bottle caps. It may have been the shade or an approaching storm that gave the dusk a greenish cast. It was like being at the bottom of a well. "What's the name of your orange cat?" Bruno asked. I felt a surge of anger. He couldn't remember the name of a creature that had been sharing his home, whose home he had been sharing for 2 weeks, a creature whose color was not orange but golden. F sometimes called her the Golden Kitty. But I just told him. Biscuit's her name, Biscuit, because she's